Dr. Ellen Mosti is going to bridge science and soul as she shares 5 steps to unleash unstoppable you. So, welcome to Awaken and Ascend. I am so glad you are tuning in for this episode that's going to take you for simply surviving into radically thriving. I'm Jennifer Regular, your host, and welcome especially to our special guest, who is a minister, a transformational coach, and healing guide, who is on a mission to help women awaken to their full potential. Dr. Ellen Mosti, it's such a wonderful opportunity to have you in the house. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here and to be addressing your audience and women everywhere who I believe are really stepping into their light and shining it in the world. And
Yes.
I just want to help them in any way I can to do that.
Yeah. And I see that you really stand for lightness for all. So not just women, but especially for women. And look at you with the lighthouse, beaming the light and the background. And you're just a radiant light. So I'm really grateful to have you on the show. And I'm also really curious about what actually started you on this path.
I think I was probably always on it. I've been a seeker and a lifelong learner from a really, really young age. I love creativity and was also creative and did crafts from a really young age. And so, as life would have it, I chose a career in pharmacy, which I was in for over 20 years and learned a lot. And, I love what Western medicine can do. And when my father, actually, he had emphysema and then he got lung cancer. And we had him for 4 more years after his lung cancer diagnosis medications. And since I was a pharmacist, he kept, every time he got a new one, it's like, how does this interact with what I'm already on? And eventually he got up to like 14 or 15 medications. And I said, to be honest, we have no idea what we're doing because we test one drug and one drug and see if they interact. And then we test another drug and another drug and see if they interact. And when you get past that, we don't really know.
Mm.
And so that's when I really got a chance to see what Western medicine can do. I mean, I truly believe that with Western medicine, we got 4 more years with him that we probably would not have gotten without that. And he got an awful lot of medication on a consistent basis, plus the chemo and the radiation and all the other things. Um, and that's when I really started to see that most medications treat symptoms. They don't do
Yeah.
anything to treat the underlying disease state. And that's what really started me on my journey to look for more holistic or other ways of truly healing versus just putting another band-aid on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Really important not to just fix the symptoms, right? Or try to alleviate the symptoms, but to get really down to the root and what's going on there. And I mean, we can look at that from a global perspective too, right? We see symptomatically what's happening and creating suffering and chaos, but what's really going on underneath it all.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
so, yes. And so there's this full potential that needs to be realized, or it would be nice to be realized, right? Because we,
Yes. Because you have a beautiful background of a flowing stream behind you.
yes,
And
exactly.
I just think of how much, you know, we consider it progress as a society,
Mm,
and yet places like what's behind you are going away because we want progress, we want building, we want whatever we want. And yeah, so it's
yeah.
preserving some of that as well. That's really important.
Absolutely. Yes. And we want to be able to keep things flowing and explore new expressions for our way of living and our life. And, even in you and your work, exploring new ways of expressing your service and your willingness to understand what it is that you were put on this planet for, especially at this time. And I'm sure there's been some challenges and some inspirations on the way. And you've developed these 5 steps now for the unstoppable you. So we don't want to stop the river flowing. We want to put a building that stops our view of the spectacular mountains and oceans and create all this stagnation. We want to keep evolving into a more realized state and explore these different parts of ourselves. So all of it continues to lead to a journey of self-discovery and love and healing and transformation. So I see transformation as going transcending beyond any form that anything has taken before, right? And guiding our way through that. And so I'm super curious about what these 5 steps are to make us unstoppable.
Well, thank you so much for asking, Jennifer, because it too has been, I talked about my journey with my father and what it started me on a healing journey. And then obviously my own healing journey started in earnest after he passed. Just with a change in family dynamics, with the loss of a parent. And so I started on my own personal healing journey of, you know, what you said with transcendence, with, you know, keeping the gold of the past, but letting go of the things that can be stumbling blocks.
Mm.
And so what I eventually developed was the light formula.
Hmm.
So that is the 5 steps to unleash unstoppable you. And they are, the L is love yourself first,
Mm.
because I really believe that at the heart of everything is love, that is the one emotion, the one true emotion. And so I also believe that we can't give what we don't have.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you or your audience, but myself, I think I was always taught to look for love outside of myself.
Mm.
And for me, that looked like people pleasing and perfectionist and trying to control myself and everything around me so that I could feel safe. And then if it was safe, it was okay to be loved.
Mm.
And that just set up a lifetime of patterns that truly did not serve me.
Mm.
So seeing that gave me an opportunity to try something different. And that difference is loving myself. And I like to do it with a high five in the morning. So it's, I love you, I love you, I love you. And usually the I love you is like with my arms all the way up, but the camera doesn't capture
Right.
that. So that's one step in my light formula. There are a lot of other ideas in my book. Um, but we'll start with that. Then the I in the light formula is inner check-in.
Hmm.
Because again, those patterns of looking outside of myself for love, for safety, for acceptance, for validation left me focused out there and not in here. And that's really where the change and the transformation comes in, is when we look inside and we just check in with our body. And you can all do that now. Just take a deep breath and let it out. And just scan your body. Start at your head or your toes and just allow yourself to observe what you feel and what you notice from the top of your head to the, maybe those shoulders are a little tight. Maybe you're sitting a little crooked. Maybe you're breathing just from the top of your chest and it's shallow, or maybe your heart's beating rapidly or slowly. Maybe your jaw's tight. Maybe your gut's tight. Maybe your hips are feeling a little constrained because you've been sitting on them all day. Maybe you don't even notice your feet. So notice those toes, wiggle them. This is what being in your body feels like. And then you can create a partnership with your body by checking in and seeing what it needs. And mine at the moment needs hydration. So
I love this opportunity to notice where there might be contractions or distortions in our flow inwardly, where that might be. Oh, I'm loving this
yeah,
so far. Yeah, so loving
perfect.
yourself to those inner checks. Beautiful way to start.
That is a beautiful way to start. And then the G for the light formula is gratitude and grace.
Mm.
And I have found that gratitude can really shift our whole mood, our outlook, when we can be grateful even for the challenges in our lives. Life can become so much smoother. And again, like that river flowing behind you, that's where the flow comes from. And again, for a lot of my life, when you're trying to like hold the reins tight and be in control, that's the opposite of being in flow. And
Mhm.
so gratitude, I find, gets me there. And then the other piece of the whole perfectionist is all the shame and guilt when you're not perfect, and
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not. So embracing those mistakes as learning opportunities instead of opportunities for shame, judgment, and guilt.
Hmm.
And that's where I really feel that grace comes in,
Hmm.
that it gives you that opportunity to say, yep, I did that and it didn't end up in the result that I wanted. And saying, like, looking at it in that light instead of in the, oh, I made a mistake, or that was bad or wrong, or that shouldn't
Yeah.
have happened, and going down that spiral, which to me is a spiral because that just kind of keeps feeding on itself,
Yeah.
is just to stop that by taking a breath and saying, okay, what happened? What did I expect to happen? And what, where can I go now? Like,
Hmm.
what would be the next inspired action that I can take that would move me in the direction that I want to go? Since that didn't, let's try something else. And
Right.
that gives to me a lot more freedom and a lot more ease in life. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
allowing
Do
your
you have any experience with any of
oh,
that?
oh yeah. Yeah, been there, done that with the spiraling. And that shame and that guilt. I mean, that's the true imposter when we think about imposter syndrome, not being quite enough or measuring up to what others are doing or what even people's expectations of us are. The antidote to that is spiritual sovereignty and being at peace with what is and not judging it and being in that state of grace and gratitude. And that really builds our capacity for meeting those challenges. Sometimes if I find myself getting contracted or a little stuck, I'm like, all right, this can be a fun challenge, and then a fun challenge. When you put the word fun in front of it, it
Fun.
really changes the whole tone of it. And it almost gamifies it in a way, and you start looking for solutions and being creative about, what this is showing us. And so yeah, I definitely relate to everything that you're saying right now.
Well, that's really beautiful too, because that fun challenge
Mm,
does open up that possibility where the spiral and the stuckness kind of keeps us contracted and frozen. Stepping out with fun or curiosity or grace
yeah.
releases that
Yes.
tightness and allows us to look at other options and possibilities. So
It's so liberating.
yeah, it is liberating. And then the H is healthy foundations, and there
Mm,
are four pillars.
okay.
There is hydration, nutrition, rest, and movement.
Mm,
And again, it ties back to the second step of the inner check-in, because those are the four things that really keep our bodies running at their best.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so by checking in and asking your body, does it need hydration, nutrition, rest, or movement?
mm.
Because it needs all four. It just needs them in different proportions every day. So being flexible and being in that flow and being able to check in and say, what do I need in this moment? What would support me the best?
Yeah.
Because I know for myself, I used to, with all of that external focus and looking for that external validation and approval, again, ignored my body. And
Mm,
it took me, I hate to say it, 6 decades
mm,
to finally
mhm,
figure out that I'm the one that's responsible for this body and for this energy field.
mm.
And once I did, I really started looking at how I treated it. How am I loving my body? How am I caring for my body? And, we care so much for everybody else in our lives. And so many times women put our own self-care and our own self-worth and all of that
Yeah, all of
at
that.
the bottom of our to-do list. And I'm on a mission to flip that so that we do self-love and self-care, self-maintenance at the top. And then,
Yes.
so any thoughts, sir,
Yeah, well,
on
I
that?
love that, it's integrating those first two steps as well, right? About loving yourself and doing those inner check-ins. Like we're still doing that throughout this process. It's not just, okay, you do this and then you do this and then you do this. It's a whole integrative process. And I love how that meets where we're at right now is, I'm helping to establish that integrated higher consciousness model of living. Right. And this is a big part of that. And this is why we collaborate with each other, right? Is to bring all that about in faster way
And
because we
that's what
so
you and
need
I
it in the world
connected
right now.
over. And as I was on another podcast, someone said, wow, all of your stuff is free. And for the most part, I mean, other than the food you're going to buy,
Mhm.
um, and rest and movement can be simply, doing something you enjoy. Maybe it's coloring,
Yeah.
maybe it's painting, maybe it is actually laying down and taking a nap. And movement can be as simple as putting on music and dancing. Or taking a walk or joining the gym or a class or things that may cost money, but there are free ways of doing all of
Right.
this. And it's just, again, it's tuning in to figure out what your body needs, because I do believe that we all are unique creations, and we all may need something a little different at different times.
Yes, absolutely. And it's all okay. Being at peace with it. Again, being in that state of grace.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the last step is take time for joy.
Yay.
And you may think that that's some of the things I mentioned on the rest list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what does bring you joy?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like you with, looking at challenges as being fun.
Mm.
Um, you know, I'm, I mean, I'm always like doing laundry's okay. It's like it wasn't the highlight of my day. And now doing laundry brings me joy.
Mm.
So, simple things, cooking always did.
Oh
And
yeah,
it
me
is,
too. I love
yeah,
cooking.
and it's a creative outlet for me as well, because I see recipes as like a starting point,
Yeah.
like a guideline,
That's right. Yeah.
not as a recipe that I have to follow. It's like, here's where you start, and then you do with it what you will.
Well,
And it's
that's where we bridge
like
the
life.
science and soul, even in the recipe, right? Yeah.
That whole creative spark.
Yeah.
So it's finding, even if it's 5 minutes a day, of something that brings you joy.
Mm.
And I just look at you and I just see joy radiating off of you
Yeah.
with your smile, with your bright eyes, and
Mm.
your face just looks lit up. So I'm assuming that you do something.
Some of these things, yes, I do. I do. And you know what? I'm looking at the image in your background, Ellen, and I'm seeing, how to move from simply surviving. And I want to touch on that too a little bit, because how do we know that we're in survival mode, and what keeps us stuck in that survival mode? Even when we think we're doing all the things, that you mentioned, we can still be in that survival mode. So I think understanding it a little bit deeper also helps us to create that awareness that we need to shift and move into where we are radically thriving. So I'd love to hear about that kind of transition, but the thought process and the awareness that goes along with it. If you can share a little bit about that too.
Sure, thank
Yeah.
you. So for me, survival mode was the first 6 decades of my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's checking off all the boxes,
Mm-hmm.
doing all the things that everybody else is expecting of you. And again, for me, it was that external focus. So there was always this, like, what I would consider survival mode is that fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Mm-hmm.
So either we're fighting against whatever, the computer, or the thing that didn't work right,
Yeah.
we dig in and fight it instead of like stepping back and saying, okay, this isn't working. What else can I do? So that would be one example of stepping from surviving in that fighting mode into thriving,
Mm-hmm.
of being curious and open and looking for another way or another possibility. Flight, running away, distracting ourselves. And I think in our culture today, one of the biggest culprits is the thing that we all carry around with us,
Mm-hmm.
our phones. There's games, there's Facebook, there's social media, email, texts. It's so easy to keep ourselves distracted. And I think when we're distracted, we don't know whether we're thriving or not. We haven't stopped long enough to check in with our bodies and see whether we're really thriving or whether we're living on that adrenaline rush of that fight, flight, freeze. Freezing, we talked about, with that mental spiral
Mm-hmm.
of, what I like to call mental gymnastics, of and sometimes it's like different parts of my brain. It's like there's this conversation going on. Should be doing this. No, I should be doing that. No, I should be doing this. That didn't work. I'm a failure.
Mm.
That spiral of always trying to be or do something and not just allowing ourselves to be.
Uh-huh.
And so that can actually lead us to that contracted space that we were talking about of actually freezing into our body because we don't know where to turn.
Hmm.
So again, the light formula is the path out of that,
Yes.
of loving ourselves enough to give ourselves grace and to be grateful for what we have or what we have accomplished, um, and grateful for the lessons also. And then again, the healthy foundations,
Mhm.
because I know, especially in my 30s, I was really busy with work. I was working for a pharmaceutical company, so I was traveling a lot. And I can tell you, meals were whatever I was driving by when I got hungry.
Right.
So it was a lot of fast food, a lot of just meals on the run. I probably couldn't even, like at dinner time, I couldn't tell you what I had for lunch because, it was driving, it was talking on the phone and eating at the same time.
Wow.
So again, it's that becoming aware and becoming, like you said, present and conscious that really allows us to step out of that surviving, just doing whatever to get through every day, to actually thriving with grace and ease and joy. Takes a little slowing down.
Yeah.
And that's part of
Slowing
it. And
down
then the
is
last
nice.
is the fawning, that, the people pleasing, the,
Mm.
again, externally focused, that you don't even like know what's going on over here.
That's true. That's very, very true. And becoming more aware of that and accepting what it is, not judging yourself for it. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It's just maybe we can open up to a different way of being and taking action on the things that do bring us joy and love and happiness and all of that. And, it's interesting thinking about the word flow. We had mentioned that a couple of times because when
Mhm.
you take the F out of flow, what do you get? It's low, right? You're low energy. So, what is the F that's missing? It could be fun, it could be family, it could be friendships, it could be finances that need to be a little improved. But looking for what that F might be, fulfillment, right? Just doing the
Yeah.
job, being
Huh?
compulsive, and and not really feeling fulfilled by that. So fulfillment's another one. So there's so many things that help us thrive that actually start with F, believe it or not. And so it's
Yeah,
a
I
nice way
love
to think
that.
of that. If you're low energy, it's like, okay, what F is missing right now? What do
Hmm.
I need to,
You
to
mind if I borrow that?
you can definitely borrow that. Absolutely.
I actually have a class tonight. I'm doing a 5-week course based on the book. And
Okay.
so tonight
Yeah.
is inner check-in, and it's all about, living in the flow. So thank you for
There
that.
you go. Yeah, what's not in the flow? That's another F, right? Yeah, just credit me. Just say, oh, I heard this,
Yeah,
got
I heard
inspired by
about that
something I had
regular.
on
Check out
Jennifer
her
Rick's
podcast.
podcast today, and I wanted to share with you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the information's all out there for everyone. And that's why I love having this platform to be able to share these messages. And what we notice is the common threads and the universal truths from people from all around the world, that come with their own approach and perspective and be able to speak it from their embodied leadership, from their alignment. And so, that's the sacred nature of our work, is being in service in a way that truly does serve, that has impact and influence. And I know that it becomes a lived experience when we really get to embody that, when we go through your steps of your light formula and some of the others that have been mentioned here. And I offer a guide too, for especially for all of those that are watching and tuning in and spending time with us, a sacred leader's compass, because it takes us from what was and into that transition of our lived experience. What do we actually want to be and do through our work? And making that transition from their career into their calling, or from corporate life into their calling, and really understanding what they're being called to. And so, yeah, I've created this guide that supports people. And I know you too have a freebie, Dr. Ellen Mosti, if you want to share what that is.
I do. I have a couple of things. just thinking about what I actually shared with you that I would be sharing. I have a 20-minute meditation
Yeah.
from simply surviving to radically thriving. So,
There we go. We'll make
a
sure we have a link
journey
to that.
of
Yeah.
their own body
Yeah.
and lets them go from surviving to thriving. And since you already have a guide for people, I think I'll leave it at the 20-minute meditation. And one thing that came up when you were sharing about acceptance is I also like to talk about the AAA formula. And
Oh,
the first
okay.
is acknowledge. You just
Mm,
acknowledge what is, then you accept it, and then you act on that information.
right.
So I just think that that's another tip that I can share that can help get us from that survival mode of, focusing on what we think should be to focusing on what actually is, so that when say acknowledge it and accept that it's happening, then we can choose how we want to act.
Yes, absolutely. And people can also choose to connect with you and take you through this process in this program. And as a reverend, as a transformational coach, and as a healing guide, you offer different services that can support people in this journey as well. And so, how would people connect with you, Ellen?
Yes, so I will put my website in the uh, well, we'll go in the comments below the video.
Hmm.
The QR code behind me is my contact information, or Lightness One All. So it's LIGHTNESS. The lighthouse represents the one, the number one,
Oh,
and then all, ALL.com is the best way to reach me.
okay.
You can find my book on Amazon and or on my website if you want an autographed copy in the United States, because I can't ship it outside of the United States without huge shipping costs.
Yes,
Um,
it's really gone up.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my website, and then I do, as I mentioned, have a 5-week course. And then this Saturday and the first Saturday of every month, I do a self-love tune-up for women,
Oh,
because I really do believe there's a lot of women out there that bought into, you know, that they have to put everybody else first. And so this program, or this monthly get together of women, is so we can support each other, that we can help each other rise, to celebrate each other, as well as support each other through whatever challenges we're facing. We do a meditation, we do journaling, and we have time for sharing and time to learn just other tips and tricks to help us get through life with more grace and ease.
yes,
And
I love that. Wow, amazing. We're going to have links to all of those in the video description, so make it easy and accessible for you all. Thank you for sharing that, Ellen. I wonder if there's anything else you'd like to share with us today.
well, I just want to share that I do believe that everyone on this planet, women and men, children included, are really all here. We're all created by the same force, and there's a unity that binds all of us together.
Hmm.
And so I just believe that each and every one of us has a light inside of us. And so whether you're a night light, a 40-watt bulb, a 100-watt bulb, or a 1,000-watt bulb, we're all meant to shine our light into the world, and it is needed, especially right now.
Hmm.
So if you feel a call or a tug in your heart to do something, like you were saying, your compass formula to help people through transition, and to start following their soul instead of the expectations that have been put upon
Yes,
them,
yes.
just follow your heart.
Hmm.
Follow your heart and follow its guidance, so that your light will shine in the world.
Oh, what a beautiful message. Thank you so much, Ellen, for leaving us with that. And I'd love for all of you that are tuning in to leave some comments and share this with someone you think would resonate with this message or would like to hear it, and share the love and share the light, and continue to do that. It's a simple way that you can, is to share this with others and to leave a comment, questions. We always access those and respond to those, and it keeps us engaged and connected. And so I encourage you to do that and check out those links below in the video description as well for the gifts and the meditation that'll take you from simply surviving to radically thriving, and to practice those steps. Let us know how that works for you. I know I will. Thank you so much all for joining us today on Awaken and Ascend. Dr. Ellen Mosti, it was such a pleasure having you here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer, it was a pleasure as well, and I can't wait to see your guide and see what else I might be able to glean and share with others. And we'll can't wait to share this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We'll see you all again next time. Keep shining your light. Bye for now.